I'm making this video for the DC restaurant community because DC restaurants are in crisis right now. But really this applies to restaurants around the country because you all are operating on the same razor thin profit margins, and the White House policies that are affecting DC restaurants are affecting restaurants nationwide. Immigration policy, tariff policies, they're making that razor thin profit margin that you were already working with impossible to maintain even that. And so in this video, what I'm going to do is introduce to you the opportunity that a YouTube cooking show presents to help you add significant revenue to your business and perhaps turn your restaurant from struggling to profitable. I know my audience well. I work with professional chefs for a living. So I'm going to start by saying that if you are not open to new things, if you just want to do things the way you've always done them, you're not open to new things, this video is not for you. So you might as well leave now. I'm not interested in wasting your time at all. So I'm just letting you know up front, if you do not want to do anything different than what you are currently doing or the way you've always done things, then this video is not for you. So you can leave now. Now, for the folks who are open to learning new things and learning new ways of doing things, then let's talk about what YouTube offers. First of all, let's talk about money, the bottom line. YouTube paid over $100 billion to YouTube channel owners to monetize YouTube channels in just the last 4 years. So between 2021 and 2025, YouTube has paid over $100 billion to YouTube channel owners. I'm one of those people. That's real money going to real people where YouTube's paying you to make videos. That's how YouTube works. And if your restaurant is not leveraging that, if you haven't capitalized on that in any way, then you got to ask yourself, is it time to discuss YouTube? $100 billion over just the last 4 years. Not 100 million, not a billion, not 10 billion, $100 billion over just the last 4 years. How much of that money did your restaurant get? And is it time to do something about that? The second thing is YouTube has been the #1 TV streaming platform in US households for a couple of years now. It's coming up on 3 years. That means more people are watching YouTube on their big screen TV than they are Netflix or any other streaming platform that you can name. So a cooking show on YouTube is a cooking show on TV. And more broadly speaking, you have your own food TV channel. So you can do your version of the Food Network. You have your own TV channel. You can put yourself on TV and do whatever you want to do with food, have whatever conversations you want to have. That's what a YouTube cooking channel really means. That's what this is about. So I just want to put you in the proper mindset, just frame this up correctly. We're not talking about just posting on social media, wasting time posting on Instagram like so many of you are doing. You putting time into it and not really getting anything out of it. When we're talking about YouTube, we're talking about building a business. From the CEO himself, the CEO of YouTube, the purpose of YouTube is to help you two things. He says to help you find your audience and to help you build a business. That's the purpose of YouTube as stated by the CEO of YouTube. So YouTube is not a game. We're not talking about playing around on social media here. We're talking about reimagining your restaurant operations to incorporate a YouTube cooking show as part of your business plan, as part of your revenue strategy, so that you can make your restaurant viable, because the conditions that we're operating under now and for the foreseeable future, the old way of doing things just is not going to work. It's just not enough money to do what's necessary. And while we're talking about mindset, let's just get this out of the way. Get to versus have to. Because I know some folks are going to sigh and go, oh man, here we go with another thing I got to do. Really? Having your own cooking show on TV, is that really something that you have to do? Or is that something that you get to do? Because if you're old enough to have grown up using rotary phones and yellow pages like me, I ain't ashamed. Then you know back in the day, obviously I wasn't running a business then, but back in the day, business owners, you know, advertising was putting yourself in the yellow pages, putting stapling flyers to the telephone pole, getting little 4x6 cards printed and having somebody put them on people's windshield, on the windshield wiper blades, All that was what advertising was, because TV advertising was just unimaginable. There was just no way you could afford to do that. Even paying for radio ads was just something that was not cost effective for lots of business owners. And now we live in a time where you can just take this device that you already have with you and put yourself on TV. So is that a have to or a get to? So get your mind right, and that'll make this a whole lot more interesting for you, and you will get so much more out of it. I'm going to start by showing you a couple of examples of how you can use a YouTube cooking show to create direct revenue for you. What I'm going to show you on screen right now is Sharon Reed, owner of RX Catering. And we use what I'm showing you right here is a project that we recently did with when the federal government shut down. We came together to do a 30-day snap challenge where Sharon prepared 90 meals. She took on the challenge of preparing 90 meals for a total of $180. So 3 meals a day for 30 days. That's 90 meals, $2 per day, $2 per meal. So a total of $6 per day per meal. So however you want to look at it, 90 meals prepared for a budget of $180. So we did that because we knew what was going to happen with the shutdown. If it went long like the last one did, we were going to see a bunch of people experiencing food insecurity, and the food banks would get overwhelmed. And so what we were doing with that series was showing people how to stretch their grocery dollars. And through that series, I sent it out to some various news outlets saying, hey, this is what we're doing to help folks. Are you interested in this story? And Fox 5 was interested, and she went on a Monday for a 5-minute presentation. And she did such a great job because she has years of experience on camera. We started her cooking show in 2020 as a way to help save her catering business from because businesses were closing left and right. And we started a cooking show to help keep her business alive. And fortunately, it worked. But she's had all these years of experience on camera. So she did such a great job in that 5-minute segment. They asked, can she come back the next day for the hour-long segment, which she did, and did a fantastic job. And the point, and that's not the first time that we've gotten her on TV because of her cooking show. Last time it was Channel 4. And when she goes on TV like this, she gets exposed to a different audience, people who didn't know her, didn't know she had a cooking show, didn't know her YouTube channel, wasn't aware of her business. And she gets corporate clients from this. And these are clients that pay on a monthly basis. They have recurring events with their staff, and always they got to feed people. So this is how one of the ways that she's creating revenue from her cooking show, direct revenue. Another example I'm going to show you here. This is Chef Sabina Jules, owner of Motherland Kitchen. When I met Sabina, she had a restaurant in Frederick, Maryland, and she had a ghost kitchen in DC. She had to close her ghost kitchen because of costs. And but during that time, we were doing her cooking show, and I reached out to the Washingtonian and said, hey, are you interested in the story? Check out what this chef is doing on YouTube, because she specializes in Afro-Caribbean cuisine, particularly turning traditional African and Caribbean dishes into vegan versions. And it's just, her food is fantastic. And because she has a cooking show, she was able to get featured in the Washingtonian. That was what we were able to use to get her featured in the Washingtonian. And that article is bringing her business. I'll put the text message on screen that she sent me, where she has people coming from, she's again in Frederick, Maryland, people coming from Leesburg, Virginia, Winchester, Virginia, Berryville, Virginia. These are 50 miles away from Frederick, Maryland. They got to drive past a whole lot of restaurants to get from anywhere in Virginia to Frederick, Maryland. And the point is that happened because of her cooking show on YouTube. If you've ever worked with a PR professional, a publicist, that's called owned media. Sabina owns her YouTube channel. Sharon owns her YouTube channel. Those are their platforms. And you can use owned media to create earned media. So Sharon earned her way onto Fox 5. Sharon earned her way onto NBC4. Sabina earned her way into the Washingtonian with the media that she owned. And so this is an important lesson for you to learn. So many chefs or restaurant owners are looking for opportunities. How are these people getting these opportunities? This is how. You got to create your own stuff that showcase what you're capable of doing, and then other people want to feature you on their platform. So the lesson here is create your own stage, and then people will invite you to be on their stages as well. Another thing that I want to explain early on is the difference between food service and food education and entertainment. You understand food service. You know that business model inside and out. And that's a business model where you're looking at probably a 3 to 5% profit margin, plus or minus, somewhere in that area. Food education and entertainment is an entirely different business model, and it's almost pure profit. It's like 95% profit. This is why I'm encouraging you to, you got to incorporate a cooking show, or at least consider it, incorporating a cooking show into the revenue plan for your business, because there's this huge pot of money over here, like that $100 billion that YouTube has paid out. That is not food service money. That's money that people got paid for making videos. Food education and entertainment. This is where you have the opportunity to inject some additional revenue into your restaurant operations that allow everything to work. Because the old way, with just traditional straight up food service restaurant operations, is not working, is it? So where does the money come from? Here's an example of where the money can come from. Now I want to address some of the things that I commonly hear from folks, because I already know what you're thinking. I don't have time for this, man. It's going to take so much time. I don't have time. A cooking show, as I teach it to build a business, is 50 episodes a year. You got to show up every single week. That's just what's required. 50 episodes a year. You can produce those 50 episodes a year in 1 day per month of your time. So here's what that 1 day per month looks like. I call it 12 hours. It's probably less. So 2 hours for prep. That's getting your ingredients together and everything that you're going to need to prepare 4 recipes, because you're going to make 4 recipes on your recording day. You set aside 8 hours for recording and then 2 hours for cleanup. So 2 hours, 8 hours, 2 hours. That's a total of 12 hours to make 4 recipes. So obviously it's probably going to take you less time than that, but I'm being conservative, saying, okay, let's just call that 12 hours once a month. Once a month, that 12 hours is going to produce 50 episodes a year, and that 50 episode per year cooking show, it doesn't take you, it's not going to have to take you 50 episodes before you even start making money with it. But that 50 episode per year cooking show can pay your rent. And I don't care what your rent is. I don't care where you are in the United States. You can be in New York, Los Angeles, Miami, wherever the highest rent is, commercial rent is. That 12 hours per month can pay your rent for the entire month, every single month. So when you put it in that context, do you have time for a cooking show? Well, another way of looking at it is you can do the same shit you've been doing for 31 days a month, month after month, and keep getting what you've been getting, or you can do the same shit for 30 days a month, and then 1 day a month you try something different that has an opportunity to pay your rent for the entire month, and give that a shot. So can you give up that 1 day? And we're not really, shouldn't even say give up. It's not a forfeiture. We're adding. Because remember, this is not, you get into the right mindset. This is not some extra thing on the side that you got to do. This is a core part of your restaurant operations. This is just like doing payroll. That is a task that's just got to be done. That's part of the game. You sign up to run a restaurant, you're going to be doing payroll. You're going to be doing inventory. You're going to be doing all these other things that you have to do. That's just part of the job. Well, I'm telling you to consider reimagining your restaurant operations where a cooking show is part of the job. This 1 day per month that you dedicate to this particular business function, because this is a real business, this particular business function that generates this revenue that makes this whole thing work. Because if you do this the right way, if you do it the way I recommend, you're going to approach your cooking show with a strategy. You're going to set a revenue target. How much money do I want this cooking show to make, or how much do I need it to generate in order to support this restaurant and make it work? That's part of your business plan. This cooking show has got to generate this amount of revenue per month to make this whole thing work. That's part of what's required to make this restaurant work. If you incorporate it into your planning in that way, now it becomes, okay, here's the revenue target. We know what we're going to do we know what we want to do with this cooking show. What is that going to require? It's going to require this 1 day a month. What is that going to require? How exactly are we going to generate that revenue? And then there's all these different revenue streams that you can use to generate from a cooking show. And I'm going to explain that later in the video. But what's important is that you frame this up correctly in your mind. This is a part of the business. This makes the business work. And if you take this thing out, the business is not going to work. Just like if you take other parts of your business out, it's just not going to function. So, and I want you to understand that this is not something new. This is not really anything radical we're talking about here. It's just the current manifestation of it. This is basic marketing and sales. That's always been a core business function, no matter what business we're talking about. And so in 2026 and beyond, and actually way before 2026, YouTube, social media in general, but YouTube specifically is what we're talking about here. This is a part of that. This is a part of marketing. So if you're not effectively leveraging the tools that are available to you, the world has changed. We're not in the phone book era anymore. You have challenges that did not exist in the phone book era. You have opportunities that did not exist in the phone book era. You don't get a choice as far as having to accept the challenges that are new. You do have a choice when it comes to embracing the opportunities. And if you fail to embrace those opportunities like YouTube, you're handicapping yourself, because you're operating in a world where you have challenges and you have solutions to address those challenges, but you're choosing not to leverage those solutions. So just keep that in mind. Like I'm really emphasizing this mindset stuff because for some people, you really are that's really what's going to be your biggest obstacle, is getting out of your own way, changing your mindset to be able to embrace something new and getting out of your own way so that you can create success for yourself with the resources that are right here available to you. Another thing that I commonly hear is that you think you can't afford it, cannot afford a cooking show. And that's just not the case. What I often see, what's usually the case, is a chef is coming up with this grand vision and trying to implement that right out the gate, and you don't have the budget to implement that right out the gate, and that's why you think you can't get started. The analogy I like to draw is just imagine somebody coming out of high school and deciding that the first car the car that they want is a BMW. It's got to be a brand new BMW. They're not interested in anything else. If they can't get a brand new BMW, then they just going to walk. And so they end up walking because they don't have anywhere near brand new BMW money. They could buy themselves a Honda Civic or Toyota Corolla or something like that and get started, but they ain't interested. They said, if I can't have a brand new BMW, then I'm walking. That's what's keeping a lot of people from having a cooking show, is choosing either the BMW version or nothing at all, as if there's no options in between. And there absolutely are options in between. This is all you need to start your cooking show: your phone and $100 mic, wireless mic. You probably already have a light that you can use. From when we were in pandemic, everybody had to get video lights of some sort. If you don't have a video light, we're talking about another $100, $150. So total $200-300 of equipment, and some of it you may already have. That's what you need to start a cooking show. You don't need a special camera. The cameras in our smartphones are so advanced these days. You can create a video, television quality video with your smartphone. People, they're not gonna know the difference. Like, I can show you videos I made, cooking videos I made with my phone, just to prove that you can't tell the difference. And if I show you that with versus one with my dedicated camera that costs thousands of dollars, you're not gonna be able to tell the difference, because the phone, the camera's technology and phones is so advanced. That is the phone, that is the camera that you need. You don't need a professional videographer. You can get one of your staff or one of your kids or anybody to just operate the camera for you. All we're talking about is they just need to be able to line it up so it's not crooked, and hit record and monitor the audio to make sure that the mic is actually working, so you don't record a whole video and there's no sound or something like that. These are functions that you can bring in-house, and that's what I teach. That's what my business is. This is what I teach you how to do, is how to bring your cooking show production in-house, which makes it affordable. You have the devices that you need, as far as the technology, the phone. Get your mic, put your phone on a tripod, get somebody to just hit record for you and monitor the video. That's it. You can start a YouTube cooking show investing a couple of $100s or less. So when you put that in and again, everything is about context and perspective. What we're talking about is creating your own cooking show on TV. You can do this for a couple of $100 or less. YouTube is the #1 TV streaming platform in U.S. households. You can put yourself on the big screen TV in households all around the country for a couple of $100 or less. That's how you can get started and then build up from there. So this, I'll challenge you to ask yourself, is this something that you think you can afford or not? Because that's the opportunity to get access to that $100 billion. And what does it cost you to do that? $200 or $300, or if that. So put it in that context. Do you still think you cannot afford a cooking show? So what I'm going to do right now is play you some clips from a podcast episode from December. This is the Foodie and the Beast podcast by David and Nikki Nellis. And they had in December, they called it their State of the Plate episode, where they had the president of the Restaurant Association of Metropolitan Washington, Sean Townsend, the president, and they had a panel of local restaurateurs, and they were discussing the state of the restaurant industry in Washington, D.C., the challenges, the opportunities, and such. And so they had a fantastic discussion. I'm going to put a link to the full episode in the description box of this video. But right now I'm going to play a couple of clips from it and then explain how a cooking show could be used to address the challenges that are presented. So let's check that out.
Listen, every year around 27 million, usually, people come to Washington to hang out and look at the monuments and eat and sleep and all of that. And it's making it harder and harder. We were away last week, as we said, and as I was in the pool with a bunch of Canadians who were laughing at me. They're like, up yours, man. We usually go to the States for our vacation. We came to St. Martin because we're not going to America. You know, sorry for your problems.
Okay,
have
but
a nice
that doesn't
day.
have anything to do with what we're talking about.
Yes, it does, because if 27 million, a percentage of 27 million people don't come to D.C., that hurts, and it hurts you guys.
I would
a lot.
support that, David, because
hotels are down 11%, and restaurants are down 6% in terms of the sales tax revenue that the city generates. And so, yeah, we're seeing it all around.
And
Greg?
Trump, or the current administration,
Oh, you can say Trump.
You can say Trump.
Put in a $300 bounty to come to the United States. when you go to get a tourist visa here, you pay $300 to come in the country. That wasn't a fact
Forget
last
it.
year.
Right.
Now, that may become accepted, but it certainly put an abrupt halt to 6 to 12 months worth of traffic.
You know what? There are lots of other places to go.
I think
Exactly.
D.C. last year had 200,000 Chinese visitors, and this year it was 20,000.
So here's how a YouTube cooking channel can help you capture some of that revenue that's lost because the tourists are not coming. YouTube is the second most visited website in the world. YouTube reaches everywhere. So with that cooking show, your cooking show on YouTube, you can generate revenue from those tourists that are not coming simply by them watching your videos. That's that $100 billion in revenue that YouTube has paid out. That's revenue from advertising. So the ads that you see on YouTube, as well as the revenue from people who pay for YouTube Premium so that they don't have to watch ads. That all of that money YouTube shares with monetized YouTube channels. You get 55%. YouTube keeps 45%. And the way the money is calculated is based on watch time hours. The more times people are spending watching your video, the more hours that of watch time that you're racking up, the more money you get paid from YouTube, the larger the share of the revenue you get. So simply by creating videos for people to watch, just by them watching the videos, you're accumulating watch time hours. That's revenue. That's adding to the check that you're going to get from YouTube. So those tourists who aren't coming, they would love to support you, but they are not interested in visiting the United States at this time because of, everything that's going on with this administration. That's still a way that they can support you. They can watch your videos. And so that's one revenue source. Just them watching, that adds up to equal dollars. The description box in a YouTube video is an extremely powerful sales tool. You can put links to anything you want in there. So you can put links to products that you're using, whatever cookware it is that you're using or whatever. And if they want to do what you're doing and use the things that you're using, they click the link and you're getting affiliate income from that. So that's another revenue source. You can have direct revenue sources where, let's say you make a spice blend or a sauce or whatever, or maybe you have merchandise that they can buy. You have an online store already. Using your YouTube cooking show to sell more of what you already sell is the easiest way to make money. Just like the examples I showed you with Sharon and Sabina, using a cooking show to sell more. Sharon selling more catering services. Sabina selling more restaurant services. The easiest way to make money with a YouTube cooking show is to sell more of what you already sell. So if you already have things that are available for people to purchase online, that description box in every YouTube video is a very powerful sales tool for you. So this is a way that you can still reach those people who want to support your business, and even though they're not coming here. And for the DC restaurants in particular, it's not even international tourists. You got people from Maryland and Virginia who are not coming into the city because they view it as a hostile environment, an unsafe environment. Well, they want to support you, but they're not coming here. They don't want the hassle. They don't want the risk. Your YouTube cooking show can be a way that they support you, again, just by watching, by purchasing products and services that you offer. You can provide a cooking community. This is one of the revenue strategies that I'll talk about a little bit later, where they pay a monthly fee to participate in your foodie community, where you're taking them behind the scenes, teaching them additional stuff. Maybe you do a live stream once a month, something like that. And let's say you charge $50 a month for that. If you get 100 people, that's $5,000 a month, additional revenue right there from people who pay the monthly fee for your online community for foodies. If you get 1,000 people, because we're not just talking about local, when you're offering an online service, food, education, and entertainment, when you're taking advantage of the internet economy, the creator economy, the whole world is open to you. So you charge $50 a month, 100 people, that's $5,000. 1,000 people, That's $50,000 per month that you can generate. And in the description box of this video, I'm going to provide you an example of somebody doing exactly that. Chef Lau lost his restaurant due to the pandemic in 2020, started a YouTube cooking show, and within about 18 months, they were making about $50,000 a month. And the next year, they won 3 James Beard Awards. That family won 3 James Beard Awards for their YouTube cooking show that they're running out of their home kitchen, because they lost their restaurant. So this is just one example of how you can use a YouTube cooking show to reach an audience that you otherwise couldn't. So right now we're talking about tourists who are not coming to DC or not coming to wherever you are in the US. You can still reach them and do business with them through a YouTube cooking show. See, now we're going to talk about the profit margin.
When I came into it, 28 years ago, you looked at your pro forma before you ever opened the restaurant. Your pro forma told you you're fighting for 8, maybe 12%, especially when you're doing like what we've done is one of a kind restaurant with a chef in the kitchen. You're making everything by hand. 8 to 12%. That's your goal. Now, with what's happened with inflation and everything, we're fighting to survive. We're fighting to break even. We're fighting to keep doing the thing that we love to do and keep people paid well doing it. So, I mean, on some fundamental level, the money's just not there. Now,
so he nailed it. The money is just not there. He described what the industry was like when he started 28 years ago, and he described the conditions that you have to operate in now. The world has changed dramatically in those years. And if you're still doing business, if you're still generating revenue the same way as 30 years ago, no new ways of generating revenue. You're doing the same things that you were doing 30 years ago, or that a restaurant was doing 30 years ago, and you're not doing anything new. Well, there's all these new costs that you have incurred, stuff that you have no control over. So your profit margin is shrinking, but your revenue generation is not going up accordingly. What I'm saying is there are other revenue sources that you have to consider at this point. Because otherwise, what's gonna happen? If you run this year, your restaurant operations exactly as you ran them last year, if you do not find any additional sources of revenue, what is going to happen? I mean, you can just sit down and look at it on paper and figure out, okay, if nothing changes, where is this going? And so with a YouTube cooking show, that food education and entertainment revenue, that big pot of money, $100 billion just in ad revenue, and that doesn't even count direct sales, products and services that you sell directly. That $100 billion is just ad revenue from people watching your videos. If you're not incorporating any of that food education and entertainment revenue into your business, you haven't developed a strategy and a revenue target and a plan for how you're going to generate X dollars a month through food education and entertainment as opposed to food service, then I don't know how you survive. Like what answer do you have? If this isn't the answer, tapping into this food education and entertainment money, if that's not the answer, what answer do you have? Let's see this next clip. Oh yeah, this next clip is going to be about the challenge of promoting internally.
We actually struggle to be able to change like our bartenders and our, top servers into management, because managers actually end up making less money than those service staff members with tips.
Right.
And I think that's, to your point, Michael, being like, hey, the management is making so much money in these industries that are, that fit the union model. And it's actually the opposite. right? They are taking a chance and they want to like longevity in their careers while still in their minds, like being a server or a bartender might not be something that they can see doing at their old age. So that's why they make the jump. But they actually end up making most of the time less money. So you try to convince them with, hey, I know you're going to probably make less money, but you're going to make sure you have, a stable schedule, you have, your benefits and so forth.
And long-term skill sets.
Exactly. But they actually end up making less money because there's no more money to give.
It's a really good point.
No, it is a very
Yeah,
good point.
for sure.
So again, we're back to that issue of there's no more money. No more money in the food service bucket. There's this big bucket of food education and entertainment money, and it's just overflowing, but you're not leveraging it. So that's what I'm talking about. You can have, if you incorporate this YouTube cooking show as a part of your business plan, a core part of your business, this has to generate revenue. This is a part of what's required for this restaurant to function. The cooking show can generate revenue that allows you to promote somebody to manager and pay their salary, pay them what they're worth. They don't have to take a pay cut because the restaurant itself is profitable, because this cooking show, that's not this thing over here on the side. This is part of the restaurant. It's under the restaurant umbrella, just like everything else. And it is generating the revenue that's necessary for other restaurant operations. This is how you can incorporate, one example of how you can incorporate a YouTube cooking show into your operations to actually facilitate making this business work. Again, if you don't do this, then what answer do you come up with? Where's your solution for where the money comes from to be able to promote these people? And oh, by the way, imagine a restaurant who has a YouTube cooking show that's generating 5-figure revenue, $20,000, $30,000 a month just from the cooking show. How do you compete against them for the best talent? Because they got talent. Well, maybe let's say you're the one who has your cooking show is generating $20,000 or $30,000 a month in revenue, and then you got all these other restaurants who are not doing YouTube. You have the ability to pay people a better wage than they're able to, because the money is there. The cooking show is generating the revenue to facilitate other things in the restaurant, including paying people what you would like to pay them if the money were available. Well, with your cooking show, you get to set a revenue target, whatever you want. It's a $100 billion pie sitting on the table. How big a piece of it do you want? And then what is the plan that you're going to put in place to get that, so that you can fund your restaurant the way you want to? This is what I'm talking about with using a cooking show to create money, create revenue streams in your restaurant that do not currently exist. Through food service, you would never be able to just pay people what you would like to pay them because the money's just not there.
Tariffs created fear, right? The word tariff created, people were like, I don't know what a tariff is.
And further inequity.
Well, let's go down that road.
I'll say this. You had the really large restaurant groups that had the ability to be like, okay, there's tariffs going into Mexico. Let me fill a warehouse with tequila, right? Because they have that ability. In my opinion, what it did is like it just furthered the inequity in the small restaurants and in those neighborhood restaurants that don't have that ability to pre-purchase huge amounts of alcohol or whatever it is that they were getting tariffed on, right? So what happens? All of a sudden, they have to charge 2 times for their margarita, while the larger group can hold off, right? So then that smaller restaurant goes out of business. And then the larger restaurant stays in business, and then still is going to raise the price.
They're going to raise their price,
on.
right?
But
they pick up market share.
Exactly.
So again, excuse me, a YouTube cooking show. A YouTube cooking show actually gives an advantage to the smaller restaurant the independent restaurant, because with any organization, the bigger it gets, the more bureaucracy that you're going to have. And so with that larger restaurant group, everything is going to require an approval of some sort. They're going to have a committee meeting about everything, the direction of the channel, what they're going to do with the cooking show, etc. Whereas the independent chef, independent restaurant owner, they are the show. They can do whatever they want. They can make any kind of changes they want whenever they want. It's really just about what they're choosing to do. And so that agility, that maneuverability, that's actually a huge competitive advantage. They can run circles around the big restaurant group that has a ton of money, but you can't spend your way to personal connection. So if you are passionate about what you're doing and you making your little kitchen do what it do, people are going to embrace that. They're going to gravitate to that, and you can outcompete with just your smartphone. You can outcompete a restaurant group because your cooking channel is more relatable and more interesting and more relevant to people than what the larger restaurant group is putting out. Or more likely, you're making videos, you got a YouTube cooking show, you're making videos, and they're not even doing it. They're not competing because they're trying to figure out, is this something that we even want to do? They got to discuss it, analysis paralysis, and again, the death by committee vote. So while they're trying to figure out what they should be doing, if they should be doing it, or it's not even on their radar, you're putting out your cooking show every single week and activating all of these different revenue streams that come with having a cooking show on TV. So again, this is how the little guy can compete against the big guy and actually outcompete them and win. Let's see what's going to be in this next clip. Oh, we're going to talk about delivering an experience.
But there has to be some merging of that. And then the restaurateur, it is always an evolving, again, I go back to the tip of the spear. And I think youth today is looking for experience as much as they're looking for how good that meal was, right? Did the barista make that coffee really cool? And look at the design on the cup. But that'll get the social media that'll get her 200 customers in that shop today that wouldn't have been there yesterday. Mm-hmm. And it puts a lot of burden on the ownership and the management, and stretches an already thin because of, we're covering some of the political issues with 82 and having to fight these battles. So I see a challenging year coming up, but I see, again, there is opportunity to navigate your way through and survive and hopefully thrive.
So that experience that he's talking about, delivering that experience, what better way is there for a chef to deliver an experience than to invite people into your kitchen? Because that's what a cooking show on YouTube is. This is not Instagram or TikTok where you got to be animated, hyper animated for 30 seconds or 10 seconds or whatever. A YouTube cooking show is a long format cooking show. Remember what I told you in the beginning. More people are watching YouTube on their television than Netflix or anything else. So with your cooking show, you have the opportunity to just invite people into your kitchen to have a conversation about whatever. You're going to talk about food. You're going to talk about the dish. You can take them from start to finish and just give them an escape. So you can start with the meal prep, your mise en place, chopping up your vegetables and everything that's going to go into this dish. And you're just talking to them the entire way through as if they were in your kitchen, like the way you learned how to cook. Some of you had somebody in your family who was the cook and they took you under their wing and they taught you, and you were there from the very start of that meal preparation, taking the ingredients out of the refrigerator, chopping them up, getting everything in place, set up properly, and then actually combining the ingredients and preparing the meal. That entire process, YouTube gives you the space to do that, and that would actually be some people's favorite thing, your audience. That's who we're looking for, is your audience, and this will be their favorite thing of the week, to be able to just turn on the TV and watch you cook and listen to whatever stories you want to tell for 45 minutes or whatever. That process from start to finish, taking these raw ingredients and turning them into this fantastic dish, and they just get to sit there and chill and just vibe with you while you're doing that. That's the kind of experience that that operator was just speaking about. That's the kind of experience that your customers are looking for. People are looking for that kind of connection. And again, this is when you're doing something like this, when you're using YouTube to invite people into your kitchen, you're no longer restricted in your revenue to your local geography. You're able to make money from people who are anywhere in the world simply by them watching your videos, because as these watch time hours accumulate, that goes towards that check that YouTube's going to send to you. So this is what I'm talking about. You just let your mind explore this idea, and what could you do? What is your version of this? How would you make this work? Rather than thinking that you can't make this work, or this is impossible, or this isn't, just forget all that and just ask yourself, how could I make that work? What would my version of this be? What kind of experience would I like to deliver to people on a weekly basis? I can do anything I want. What would I do? So just kind of let your mind run with that. Let your imagination run with that for a little bit. See what you come up with. And now, this one I really like. We're talking about the end of influencers. This is very important.
All right, Danielle, you want to say one more thing?
I just wanted to say that I think we really need to bank in our communities and lead with community, in the sense that, yes, it's experience, but I think, I actually do think in 2026, a lot of like the influencer era is going to like transition, and people are looking for meaningful things to support. And I think we need to show them why to support us, and because we're supporting our community, and like we just need to be able to communicate that message.
I agree with that. I think the days of like just getting online because some fluffy thing is starting to wane. People are getting bored.
It is.
So that's exactly what I was talking about. And the end of the influencer era, that can end for you as soon as you decide to make it end. You can be your own influencer with a chef who has their own cooking show. What better way is there to showcase what you're doing? Seriously, nobody can speak on your behalf better than you can. And a cooking show is the best vehicle possible for a chef to communicate about what you're doing with food and your vision and the direction that you want to go. And it removes you from being beholden to influencers. You don't have to leverage those people. You don't have to rely on those people. You can be, not only can you be your own influencer, you can get paid to be an influencer. That's one of the, I'll talk about it now, one of the revenue strategies that comes with a cooking show. This cooking show that you have on TV, you're showing up on the big screen TV in homes all around the United States. Well, guess what? That's an attractive advertising platform to all kinds of brands, cookware brands, kitchenware brands, local businesses. You can get paid to be promoting somebody else's business, somebody else's products or services. They can pay for a product placement or whatever. So not only do you not need to pay influencers, you can get paid to be an influencer. But at an absolute minimum, by hosting your own cooking show and delivering that experience that I was describing, just inviting people into your kitchen and being yourself and sharing whatever it is you want to share. If you're doing this through YouTube, you don't need influencers. You are your influencer. You are the best representative, the best ambassador for your restaurant. And you're using a YouTube cooking show to showcase yourself and your establishment in the best light. Because again, you don't have to be a super animated, super abbreviated version of yourself. You get to just do the show that you enjoy doing, communicate your love for food, express it however you want, and you get to show up again next week and do it again, and the week after, and the week after, and the week after. And this right here is all you need. And another thing I want to point out is some of these influencers are people who you used to have access to as part of your labor pool. And this is something that I don't hear discussed very often, or I actually haven't heard anybody discussing it besides me. But the challenges that you're having with finding quality talent is we live in a different world now. If you go back, pre-social media, a lot of the best and brightest, talent that was available, people who were not necessarily going to have a career in the hospitality industry, but they would work through the hospitality industry on their journey. They would spend some time in the hospitality industry on their journey. Like, I got a cousin who's a lawyer who used to be a waiter back, way back in the day. But now we have social media. The best and the brightest can build a business on social media that pays way more than what they would make working in your restaurant doing whatever job. So a lot of those young people who you used to have access to, you don't have access to anymore, because the internet, even before social media, people can they can learn programming languages, they can do website design, they can do social media marketing, all kinds of influencer marketing, all these things. So there are all of these job outlets and that pay a lot of money that exist now that did not used to exist. So those really sharp, well-rounded, professional people, that pool of talent that you used to have access to, they got better options because those options pay way more and require way less work. And that dynamic is not something that I've heard discussed anywhere, but it's something that you got to deal with. This labor issue, amount of talent available and quality of the talent available, that's a problem that's going to continue to get worse as there become more options available to these young folks. So you got to adapt. And this is when I keep saying it, if all you're doing is running a restaurant the same way restaurants were run 30 years ago, that's not the world we live in. There are so many additional challenges that exist now that if you're not adapting and incorporating any of the resources that are available to you now that didn't exist before, you're taking all of the negatives, you're dealing with all of the negatives of today and not embracing any of the positives, any of the things that you can use. You're not balancing it out, is basically what I'm saying. And that's why I really want you to consider a YouTube cooking show as a core part of your business. How can you make this a core part of your restaurant operations and build this into your profitability? So what I'm going to do now is quickly run down some of the different ways that you can generate revenue with a YouTube cooking show. The first one obviously is the $100 billion. That's ad revenue. That's a revenue that you get from people watching your videos. That can grow to be significant, but that takes time. You got to grow your channel viewership. That takes time. So yes, that money is available to you and that's part of your long-term strategy, but that's not the way you get paid up front or quickly. The way you get paid quickly is by using your YouTube cooking show to sell more of what you already sell. So let's bring more people into the restaurant. If you have any products or services that you sell, let's use your cooking show to advertise those things. And those things that you sell directly, that's the fastest way to generate revenue with a YouTube cooking show. Probably next fastest is sponsorships. You can absolutely generate revenue quickly with sponsorships. I would say you need at least 10 videos, 10 videos over 10 weeks. So one video a week over a span of 10 weeks. And once you've gotten to 10, the reason that 10 is significant is because you're going to become a different person over the course of those 10 videos. You're going to develop a system. You're going to start getting efficient and figuring out, okay, how do I make these videos in as little time as possible? And more importantly, you will become somebody who has embraced making videos. This is a part of what you do now. And so now you can rely upon it for generating revenue. As far as sponsors, you can reach out to corporate sponsors, because with 10 videos, you're probably not going to have a viewership. You may or may not be able to engage local sponsors. So you got basically two categories of sponsors. Local sponsors are local businesses that would want to advertise with your show because it's going to put their business in front of the audience that they're trying to reach. And once you've built up a viewership, that's a revenue source that's available to you, because you got all kinds of local businesses that are already spending money on advertising, and it may to varying levels of success. Well, your cooking show is TV advertising. They are almost certainly not advertising their businesses on TV. And so this cooking show that is on TV and all the local community is checking it out, that makes sense for them to advertise on. So you got folks like attorneys, accountants, financial advisors, real estate agents, home improvement contractors, insurance agents. These are business owners that have a budget for advertising. And if you can put them in front of the audience, the local audience that they want on TV, that's advertising, TV advertising that they otherwise would not be able to afford. So you can absolutely generate revenue through that. You can, and then as far as the big brands, you can, even with no real viewership on your channel, you can create content that they will put on their channel. So let's say Hexclad, for example, and let's say they got 1 million followers on whatever platform. They will pay you to create videos showcasing their products that they put on their platform, because they're not in the business of making videos. They are in the business of making cookware. You show them through the videos that you've created that you're a quality presenter, you're a quality brand ambassador. You can speak well about a product. You can just speak well on camera, and you can help them sell some products. That's all they care about. So whether they're putting that video on your channel, they're paying you to make a video for your channel because you have a big audience, or they're paying you to put a video on their channel because they have the audience, or they might pay you to make a video about their product on your channel, and then they're going to put advertising dollars behind it. Even though you have a small audience, they know they spend some advertising dollars and send people here. That's the same thing. So sponsorships, that's another way that you can generate revenue, and I mean significant revenue with your cooking show. Digital cookbooks. I know a lot of chefs have the ambition to create a cookbook, and what I encourage folks to do is reimagine it. The idea that I present to you is to put together a cookbook with like 12 recipes in it, small cookbook. And this is a video cookbook. So these are video recipes where you're walking them start to finish through how to do this, and treat it like an album. The albums that we used to buy before everything went to streaming platforms, where an artist would put together a dozen different tracks, 12 songs, and they all went together. There was some kind of theme. There was a cohesion there. Well, you can do that. Pick 12 recipes that go together. Maybe you divide it up, 4 recipes. You have appetizers, and then some entrees, and then desserts, or whatever, however you want to do it, however you envision putting together 12 recipes, and you sell it for $10. $10 is a no-brainer. Nobody's got to think hard about that. And this is an example of that food education and entertainment money where it's almost pure profit. Once you have made that digital cookbook and put it online available for people to purchase, you can generate unlimited revenue from it, and it's not costing you anything. There is no additional food costs. If you make a cookbook with 12 recipes in it, whatever the food costs were to produce that cookbook, that's it. Those 12 recipes, that's it. You can sell 1 million copies of that cookbook, but you didn't have to buy any additional food. You didn't have to pay any additional staff to make those dishes. you didn't have to, none of those costs that are associated with food service come when we're talking about food education and entertainment. So that digital cookbook, that's how you can reach those tourists that are not coming to the U.S. That's how you can reach, for the DC restaurant owners, that's how you can reach folks in Maryland and Virginia. And oh yeah, so these skyrocketing costs that are making eating out unaffordable to so many people, and a lot of folks, there's a back to home cooking movement out of necessity. Maybe they can't afford to come to your restaurant, but they can definitely afford your $10 cookbook and start learning how to prepare these dishes at home. And now you're building another, that's more relationship building. So if they're happy, they're having a great experience making these recipes at home that you're teaching them in these $10 cookbooks, because you're going to just keep making them, make more of them as you get inspired, and you have a whole set, and then people are, make it a point to collect all of them. As they're having a good experience with these dishes that you're making, some of these folks are going to say, you know what, I'm saving up, and when a special occasion, I'm going to my chef's restaurant to try the meal as they prepare it, or try something else that's on their menu or whatever. But this is just another way of you to build relationships and generate revenue at the same time. Your paid membership community. I think I spoke about that earlier. This is basically where they pay you a monthly fee for more access, more. You're creating a community of foodies, the people who like what you like. They like your philosophy on food, and they want to learn more from you and be around others who are doing the same. And you're going to teach them recipes, and then they're going to fellowship amongst themselves. You can have a community manager, so where this online community that you've created is not really taking much of your time. Maybe you only show up in there once a month to do a live session, live Q&A, live cooking demo, whatever you want to do. And people are paying $50 a month because of the experience that they're getting. A nice, safe space on the internet where there's none of the toxicity. We just all hear about the food and the fellowship. People are so in need of that, especially these days. They will absolutely pay you to provide something like this, where they can just go and be around some other good people. And again, the $50 a month, 100 people, that's $5,000 a month. Expand it bigger, 1,000 people, $50 a month, that's $50,000 per month. And again, there's a link in the description box to a chef who's doing exactly that. This is what we're talking about. This ain't get rich quick. Basic business building. Create something that people are interested in and are willing to pay for, that delivers value to them, and then go start getting your customers. 1 customer, 2 customers, 5 customers, 10. How do you get to 100 customers? You start with 1. How do you get to 1,000 customers? You start with 1. Deliver a great experience to them. They'll tell people, you get more people, and it just continues to grow, just like your restaurant. Corporate cooking classes. That's I'll put a link in the description box of this video to a chef who was at the James Beard Foundation workshop, where she was explaining how during the pandemic, corporate cooking classes were 50% of her revenue. That's how her restaurant survived. And for you, really for anywhere in the country, but particularly DC business owners, DC area business owners, we have such a large corporate community here. We have all the defense contractors. We have all of the tech companies. There's just so many industries right here. And that's an opportunity. They have budgets for employee enrichment activities like a corporate cooking class. As I make this video, the new the U.S. dietary guidelines just came out. The new ones, they only come out every 5 years. So, and the food pyramid has changed dramatically. So that's a course, a cooking class that you could pitch to these local companies, and somebody's going to be interested. How do we help our employees eat better so that we can reduce our healthcare costs? Because ultimately the company is paying for, when somebody can't work because they're sick and they need these different, they have all these chronic conditions and all, like, oh, improving people's health brings down costs for the employer, and improving people's diet is a way to do that. That's a very easy course for you to pitch. There is a company who will take you up on that offer to help their employees eat better and be healthier. But you got to get into that mindset. Not just food service, not just cooking, not just we'll cater for you, but hey, would you like to pay me to provide some education? That education does not come with all of those food costs that, the money you can make from teaching 100 employees at somebody's company is significantly greater than the money that you would make from catering to those 100 employees. Because all of that overhead that comes with the catering doesn't come with you teaching. The cost of the most of the cost for that teaching you've already paid. It was the experience that you've gotten through life to come to know what you know, and now you're just getting paid to teach it. That's why this is a food education and entertainment. Like I said, is almost a pure profit business, because you're just not incurring the costs that you do with food service. So that's it, man. I think I've talked long enough. Hopefully you found this to be helpful. Make sure you check out the links in the description box. I'm going to put a whole bunch of links in there where you can get information about different examples, where you can see people doing exactly what I'm describing, so that you can envision yourself doing it. Because that's the first thing. You got to first calibrate your brain and believe, okay, yeah, this is something that I can do. This is probably something I should do. And then the next thing is, all right, how do I do it? And so if you want help from me, I'll put a link in the description box where you can reach me. You go to my website, you fill out your cooking show self-assessment to help you figure out if a cooking show is right for you. And if it is, then we move forward from there. But the most important takeaways that I want you to have is that, number one, you do have time for this. One day a month can pay your restaurant rent and the mortgage on your house for that entire month. One day per month of your time can do that if that's what you choose to do. And do not let cost. Don't think that you cannot afford this, because you can get started just with your phone and some hustle. So I'm all about solutions. I got started with cooking shows because of the pandemic, when so many restaurants were closing permanently, and I had to figure out a way to do something, and cooking shows was something that I had dabbled in before. And then because of the pandemic, I started focusing on how to actually use a cooking show as a business tool for a food business to help generate revenue. And it just has continued to become more relevant as the years pass, to the point where I honestly don't know how restaurants can function and be profitable without a cooking show or something that allows you to tap into that big pot of food education and entertainment money, because just food service is not getting it done. And I don't have to tell you that. You know that, you're living it. So if you want help, check out the links in the description box. And thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Share this with a restaurant owner that you know.